In aviation, everything has an appropriate timing, like pilot's rest time, pilot's duty hours, the best time to land or to take off at a specific airport, or even when to initiate a step or a procedure. Appropriate timing is key. And the negligence of this results in unforgiving consequences like China Airlines Flight 676. Come with me as we look at how bad timing resulted in Taiwan's deadliest air crash till today on Taiwanese soil. My name is Jonathan, and this is Minutes from Disaster. Stay tuned. As you follow this story, if you like it, then please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and to support me by buying me a coffee, link in the description. Let's begin the story. February the 16th, 1998. As the sun sets in Asia over the South China Sea, China Airlines Flight 676, a Taiwanese national airline, is cruising at 35,000 feet, approaching Taiwan on its 4.5-hour flight from Bali, Indonesia to Taipei in Taiwan. The plane doing this flight is a 7-year-old Airbus A300, the first twin-engine wide-body airline to have ever been created. It is the 600 version, which is more advanced than the original one. On board the wide-body airliner are 182 passengers with 14 crew members.
The weather is not good. We should get to the airport as soon as possible.
Yes, Captain.
In the cockpit, at the left seat, is Captain Kang Longlane. He is 49 years old and has a total of 7,226 total flying hours, at which 2,382 are on the A300. At the right seat is First Officer Jiang Dershang. He is 44 years old and has a total of 3,550 total flying hours, at which 304 of them are on the A300. At 19:45 local time, the pilots begin their descent into an unfriendly Taipei city. The weather around Taipei is not good, with reduced visibility to 1,300 meters, with a ceiling just above 1,000 feet above the ground, and with rain and lightning. The weather is truly not good and is getting worse by the minute, so no delay is allowed. At Taipei Airport, they will be landing at runway 05 left using the ILS system, or the Instrument Landing System. It is a system that guides the plane laterally and vertically straight to the runway. At 20:00 local time, 15 minutes later, they are now 16 nautical miles away from the airport at 7,000 feet, and they are now fully established on the approach for runway 05 left.
Approach checklist, please.
Yes. ECAM status, trim tank system fault. INOP. Clear?
Clear.
Altimeter, minimum descent altitude.
Altimeter 10.14, minimum descent altitude is 173 feet, set.
10.14, minimum descent altitude 173 feet, set right. V-bugs.
OK, E140 set, a green dot 223.
140, 223. Ignition continue relight, signs ON, landing elevation 107, cabin ALT 670. Approach briefing.
Complete.
Shoulder harness.
Fasten right.
Approach checklist complete.
Thank you.
Taipei approach, Dynasty 676, approach 7,000 feet.
Dynasty 676, intercept runway 05 left localizer, descend and maintain 4,000 feet.
Descend 4,000, Intercept runway 05 left localizer, Dynasty 676. 16 nautical miles to runway, present altitude 7,000 feet.
Flap 15.
Speed check, flap 15.
Dynasty 676, now 16 nautical miles from airport. Cleared for ILS. Runway 05 left approach.
Cleared for ILS runway 05 left approach, Dynasty 676.
Localizer star.
Localizer star, cleared for ILS.
Okay. Gear down.
Gear down. Gear down, 3 green.
Check.
Dynasty 676, contact tower on 118.7.
Tower on 118.7, Dynasty 676. Taipei Tower, good evening, Dynasty 676, 9 nautical miles on final, ILS runway 05 left approach.
Dynasty 676, Taipei Tower, runway 05 left, wind 360 at 5, QNH 1015, clear to land.
10.15 clear to land, Dynasty 676. 10.15.
At 20:03 local time, 3 minutes later, they are finally cleared to land at runway 05 left. But the weather is getting worse by the minute.
2 nautical miles.
Roger.
Yeah, we are higher, but no problem to continue.
Okay.
We are clear, isn't it?
Clear. Clear for ILS.
Okay, flap 20.
Flap 20.
Tailwind is too strong at 2 nautical miles.
The captain is a little bit concerned about his height to the ground. Being low on approach doesn't pose any problem, but being high on approach can cause problems. But everything is adjustable.
Did you tell them?
Yes.
Tower, Dynasty 676, 3 nautical miles on final. Are we confirmed clear to land?
Clear to land, wind 360 at 3 knots, clear to land.
Roger. Clear to land, Dynasty 676. Okay. Glide slope blue, localizer green.
1,000 feet higher, come on. Okay. Flaps 30-40.
Flaps 30-40. Landing gear, down, 3 green. Anti-skid, normal and 8 released. Slat flap, 30-40. Spoiler. Armed. Landing light. On. Landing checklist complete.
Go lever, go around.
Out of nowhere, the captain makes a go around without giving his reason of doing so.
Go around, go level.
Yes, go positive, gear up. Gear up. Heading select, plus 10.
Flaps.
Tower Dynasty.
When you think that the situation could not get any worse, the plane stalls and starts falling to the ground.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Dynasty 676 confirmed, go around.
Pull it up too low.
At 20:05 local time, China Airlines Flight 676 crashes, killing everyone on board, including the governor of the Central Bank of the Republic of China, Yuan-dong, plus 7 on the ground, resulting in a total of 203 deaths. It becomes Taiwan's worst accident till today on Taiwanese soil. This becomes a bad decade for China Airlines, as this is their 5th crash of the decade. Just 4 years ago, China Airlines Flight 140 crashed at Nagoya Airport in Japan, killing 264 passengers. And now, with this additional crash, makes China Airlines' reputation even worse. So why did it crash? Let us find out. If you have reached this point, then please don't forget to subscribe, like, and to comment. So far we only know that the plane was on approach, and then out of nowhere it made a go around and then crashed. So why? First of all, let us learn how a plane executes an approach. In order to execute an approach, the plane needs to be at certain altitudes at certain distances from the runway, following a trajectory that will take the plane straight to the runway. On the approach for runway 05 left, the plane is required to be at 16 nautical miles away from the airport at 4,000 feet, heading straight to the runway. And then at 11 nautical miles away from the airport, the plane is required to be at 3,000 feet. And then at 4.1 nautical miles away from the airport, the plane is required to be at 1,400 feet. And then from this point, the plane will intercept the ILS, Instrument Landing System, which will guide the plane to the runway. So what went wrong? To find out, we need to find the two black boxes: the flight data recorder, which records the flight's parameters, and the cockpit voice recorder, which records the conversations in the cockpit. Luckily, after 24 hours of searching, they were found in the debris. After analyzing the flight data recorder, we found out that the plane was too high on approach, and when it intercepted the ILS, the plane started climbing. Then seconds later, the autopilot disengaged, and then the plane started pitching up slowly until it reached a point that it made the plane stall and then crashed. The flight data recorder gave us two questions to answer. 1. Why was the plane high on approach? And 2. Why did the plane climb when it intercepted the ILS? Let's answer them. So let us answer the first question. Why was the plane high on approach? On the approach for runway 05 left, the plane needs to be at 4,000 feet when it is 16 nautical miles away from the airport. So when the plane is in cruise, the plane needs to start its descent at a certain distance from the airport to ensure that it reaches 4,000 feet when it is 16 nautical miles away from the airport, which will ensure that it will fly the approach safely. The point at which the plane begins its descent into the airport is called the top of descent point. But because they were high on approach, means that they did not begin their descent at the top of descent point. So now the question is why? Well, after investigating and analyzing the cockpit voice recorder, we really don't know. Maybe it was because of distraction. But what we do know is that after they crossed the top of descent point, they began their descent 3 minutes later. So in conclusion, they were high on approach because they delayed the descent by 3 minutes. And the cockpit voice recorder tells us that the pilots knew that they were high on approach all the way until they intercepted the ILS. Now, since we know why the plane was high on approach, let us answer the second question, which is why did the plane climb when it intercepted the ILS? Before we answer that question, let us learn a little bit about the ILS, Instrument Landing System. It uses two systems. 1. The localizer system. 2. The glide slope system. Let's begin with the localizer system. The localizer system guides the plane horizontally, left and right to the runway, using two frequencies. 1. 90 Hz, which is to the left of the runway, and 150 Hz, which is to the right of the runway. The middle of these two frequencies makes a straight line which is centered on the runway. And it is this line that the plane follows to ensure that horizontally the plane is lined up to the runway. And it is this line that the plane follows horizontally to reach the runway. Now let us look at the glide slope system, which is a bit more complicated than the localizer system. The glide slope system guides the plane vertically on a 3-degree glide to the runway using two frequencies, 90 Hz which is above and 150 Hz which is below. The two frequencies makes a straight 3-degree glide which the plane follows vertically to ensure that the plane arrives safely to the runway on a safe 3-degree glide. But remember, I said that the glide slope system is not so simple. In order to make the glide slope system work with two frequencies, other lines have to be created with alternating polarities, which are 1. The 9-degree line with reversed glide slope polarities, and the 15-degree line with normal glide slope polarities. They are more steep and dangerous compared to the safe 3-degree glide slope. So, to put it into simple terms, if the plane is below the 3-degree line, the ILS will command the plane to go up. If the plane is above the 3-degree line, the ILS will command the plane to go down. If the plane is below the 9-degree line, the ILS will command the plane to go down. If the plane is above the 9-degree line, the ILS will command the plane to go up. If the plane is below the 15-degree line, the ILS will command the plane to go up. If the plane is above the 15-degree line, the ILS will command the plane to go down. So it is important to intercept the ILS at the right distance and at the right altitude so that you get the 3-degree line, which is safe compared to the other ones. And if you misjudge your altitude or your distance to the airport, then there's a possibility that you might end up intercepting the wrong line. So now, let us connect the two answers and see how the events unfolded. So, as you know, the plane was high on approach. And since the plane was high on approach, instead of intercepting the 3-degree glide slope, it intercepted the 9-degree glide slope on top. And if you remember, if a plane intercepts the 9-degree line on top, the ILS will command the plane to climb. So the autopilot accepted the command. It stopped the descent and began climbing. The flight data recorder shows us that the captain saw what the autopilot was doing, because as the plane began climbing, he pushed on his yoke forward. This made the autopilot disengage, turning on alarms in the cockpit. But the craziest thing is that after the alarms were turned off, no one took control. At that point, the plane was being flown by the wind. Then, as the co-pilot was finishing the landing checklist, it seems that the captain finally realized that this landing was not going to happen. So he pushed the toggle button, which makes the engines spool up to full power for the go-around. The sudden decisions of the captain made the co-pilot become a bit confused. With the engines at full power and because of their positions, they started to make the plane's nose rise up. For 11 seconds, no one was controlling the plane, and because of this, the nose of the aircraft pitched to a level that it started to make the speed of the aircraft decrease, which resulted in the plane stalling and then falling to the ground and then crashing. So why did the captain make such mistakes? Well, it all comes down to three things. 1. continuation bias, 2. the weather, and 3. authority. Because of continuation bias, the captain, no matter what, wanted to land. Because we believe he did not want to go to his alternate airport, because it will cause the airline to pay extra expenses. So this mentality made him ignore all the warnings that were visible to him. And because of bad weather, he did not want to make a go around, because the weather was getting worse by the minute. These two factors resulted in the captain having impaired judgment. So what about the co-pilot? He could have done something, but he didn't. So why? There were a lot of signs to show the co-pilot that the captain was not in his right state during the descent. The co-pilot knew that they were high on approach, because when they were at 16 nautical miles away from the airport, they were supposed to be at 4,000 feet, but they were at 7,000 feet. He tried to tell the captain by saying,
16 nautical miles to runway, present altitude 7,000 feet.
Flap 15.
but the captain brushed it off by saying, extend the flaps. So why was the co-pilot quiet? One revelation tells us why. Both pilots were formerly with the Republic of China's Air Force. And in the Air Force, seniority is very key. With low experience, the co-pilot remained timid in front of the captain, who had more experience than him. But this automatically means that crew resource management training in the airline was very low. So we can conclude that the cause of this crash was by far pilot error caused by insufficient training from the airline. So what can we learn from this air crash? Don't risk safety for profit. Because a pilot did not want to deviate to his alternate airport, fearing that the airline will pay more expenses, 203 people lost their lives. May the lost souls rest in peace. So now, with this information, let us go minute to minute, second to second, as we see the chains of events. At 1945 local time, 20 minutes from disaster, China Airlines Flight 676 is cruising over the South China Sea, approaching Taiwan, and begins its descent 3 minutes late into a stormy Taipei city. As a result of commencing their descent late, they end up being high on profile and high on their approach. As they arrived to the approach point at 20:00 local time, 5 minutes from disaster, they were 3,000 feet higher than normal. At 20:04 local time, 1 minute from disaster, as they intercept the ILS, because they were high, instead of intercepting the 3-degree glide, they end up intercepting the 9-degree glide. It being inverse to the 3-degree glide starts to make the plane climb instead of descending. This confuses the captain. To fix the issue, the captain pushes his yoke forward to make the plane continue the descent. The force that he puts on the yoke makes the autopilot disengage. This activates the warning sound of the autopilot, but someone switches off the alarm, and at that point, no one takes control of the aircraft. The aircraft flies itself. At 20:05:12 local time, 47 seconds from disaster, the co-pilot finishes doing the landing checklist. But at the same time, the captain finally realizes that they won't be able to do the landing. So he decides to go around, and he pushes the toggle button, which makes the engines go into go around power. Up to now, no one is controlling the aircraft, and because of the engine's positions at full power, they make the nose go up. And with no one at the control, the nose reaches extreme positions. But at the same time, the speed starts decreasing. The plane climbs all the way until it reaches 2,751 feet above the ground, and then from that point, the plane stalls. The captain finally realizes that no one is controlling the aircraft, so he tries his best and pushes the yoke forward to try and save the plane. But with low altitude and low speed, no miracle was able to appear. At 20:05:58 local time, China Airlines Flight 676 crashes and kills everyone on board. After the crash, all of China Airlines executives resigned because it was shameful for 2 crashes to happen in 4 years, killing 467 people. Truly, a regime change in China Airlines was needed. Unfortunately, 2 more air crashes have to happen in the next 4 years for safety to become normal in China Airlines. May the lost souls rest in peace. Thank you for watching. This video marks my first video after reaching 1K, and I really want to thank you for all the support that you've shown me. Anyways, if you like this video, please, if you're new to this channel, then don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and to comment, and to support me by buying me a coffee. Link in the description. If you have more time, then please check out my other videos on your screen right now. See you next time. Bye.